Well, those hills are certainly alive. God, there's so many people there now. Unbelievable. And I think the streamer's alive as well. How about that? We're live. Hello, hello, how you doing? Welcome to Turn15 channel for round 11 of the F1 Championship this season. Austrian Grand Prix tonight, 71 laps of the Spielberg circuit, Red Bull Ring. Fantastic place to go racing. What a picturesque place as well. It just looks phenomenal. Mountains, forests, valleys, the rise, the falls, little villages around the place. Absolutely phenomenal part of the world. It looks like a lovely sunny day as well, which should mean we get a nice weather-free race. Now, there might be a fire later on, you never know. We had a fire in qualifying yesterday. It could happen again, you never know. I've seen a fair share of F1 fires being at Suzuka this year, and well, they're fun until they're not fun, I'll put it that way. Hopefully there's no red flags, hopefully all of that malarkey comes to an end. I've seen they've been dousing the circuit. It didn't actually happen in the Grand Prix this year at Suzuka. It happened, I think, 5 times over the weekend, but not in the Grand Prix itself because it rained like crazy the night before. Austria has not had that luck with the weather to douse the whole track beforehand, which means we'll see. Either way, hopefully the race itself is fire as well. Norris on pole, Leclerc second, Piastri third, Hamilton fourth. Now that is, to my mind, it's the first time we've had a Ferrari McLaren sharing the front 2 rows this season. Ferrari with a new floor and a few little bits on the car, a few little upgrades that look like they're starting to come alive. Now, Ferrari have generally qualified poorly and recovered somewhat in the races this year. So if their race pace is better than their qualifying pace, we might have something. That said, Lando Norris was very, very, very quick in qualifying. Very, very fast. I think half a second clear as Charles Leclerc in second. So we'll see if anybody can catch him today. We'll see what Piastri can do from third. 5th place Russell on the grid, just to spice things up. Lawson, an amazing 6th place on the grid, which is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Verstappen down in 7th. So it's struggling, really, struggle city. Now, all the runs were a little bit, apart from Lando Norris, really, all the second runs in qualifying yesterday were compromised. Pierre Gasly had a spin on the front straight, and that caught up some guys, including Piastri. So that's a shame for Oscar. It's great news for Lando because he's now 22 points, I think, behind Oscar in the championship. So he really, really, really needs the win tonight. He needs Oscar to do maybe drop off to the podium at best. And yeah, Lando really needs to get this win over the line tonight to save his title. That ridiculous crash at the end of Canada, at the end of the Canadian Grand Prix last time out, that's a big one. That's a really, really big, bad thing to happen. Now, the good thing for Lando is when that happened, it wasn't fighting for the win. It's not like Piastri dumped 25 points on him. I think it was 4th place. That's still a fair amount of points that he's managed to leapfrog him. Instead of shipping 2-3 points, he's shipped 12. So not great for Lando. Really needs to sort his shit out. Today, Bortoleto is starting 8th, which is fantastic. Absolutely amazing for Gabriel Bortoleto. It's great for the Sauber team. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. They've got a few new bits and bobs in the car, but they're a little bit in no man's land, I think, Sauber are. Nobody's really expecting much of them. They're not really going to make a massive imprint, I think, in the midfield. So this is actually a fairly decent qualifying from them. Well, at least from Bortoleto's side of the grid. So we'll see what he can do today. Antonelli down in 9th. Gasly in 10th. As I said, had a spin at the end of Q3. And then Alonso 11th, Albon, Hadjar, Colapinto, Behrman, Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda still struggling down in 18th. Tsunoda, Sainz struggling down in 19th. Said he had a fault in the car. Something fell off it or something went wrong in the car, and he reckons that's what made it so undrivable. And then Hulkenberg down in 20th, which is about as nightmare as qualifying gets. Now, to my mind, to my knowledge, nobody's starting from the pit lane, so we should have a full grid for the race. Tsunoda down in 18th. Jeez, we're just regurgitating the same thing every week, it seems, for the last few years now. Just that second Red Bull seat, really ever since Gasly sat in it in 2019. That That second Red Bull seat just it's not really going anywhere, is it? The fact that you can see Liam Lawson up in 6th and Tsunoda down in 18th. Now that isn't a skill gap or anything like that. That's not Red Bull opting for the wrong driver or anything. That is just, there is something bloody wrong with that car. There really, really is. I mean, in a way, there's nothing wrong with it, apart from that the operating window is absolutely tiny. It's not even an operating window, it's more like an operating like mail slot, which Max seems to nail. Not so much this week, but he seems to nail it. Tsunoda doesn't. What can you do? Anyway, there's about 6 minutes to the race start. Should be a good one today. Should be a good one. Should be a very interesting one at least. Austria always throws up a good race. It's a nice, simple track. There's only 10 or 11 turns, depending on how many you want to count. Only really 2 of them are left-handers as well, but it's a phenomenal place to go racing. Nice long straights, helps with the DRS zones, the heavy braking areas, helps with the passing. It's good. It's great. We've seen some fantastic racing in the past. Last year was fantastic. Max versus Norris right at the end, and all that blew up, and then you ended up getting George winning the race out of all of that. A bit of a 2016 moment, I think, for Max and Lando last year. Now, the big thing this weekend, I think, probably the biggest thing to keep an eye on, is Max still has 1 penalty point left on his license until he cops a ban. That's if he gets it. As of the next Grand Prix, points start to come back onto his license, and then he can get his elbows out a little bit more. So I think he's going to have to be a little bit well behaved. Now, Bortoleto was starting behind him, Lawson starting in front of him. I can't see Lawson giving him any grief. Russell, maybe. There was a lot of consternation about what exactly George Russell was doing behind the safety car in Canada. At the end of the race, there was a big moment at the end where George looked like he brake checked Max Verstappen. Now Red Bull are crying foul about that. They tried protesting it, and the steward said no case to answer. I mean, you do see drivers warming their brakes, which involves stopping on the straight. That happens every now and then. Was it gamesmanship from Russell? I guess we'll never know. I mean, it depends on whoever you like, really. If you're a Max fan, you'd say absolutely it was gamesmanship from Russell. If you're a Russell fan, you'd say like, nah, Max is just paranoid, is crazy, and all of that. So, a little bit of the fun. Mercedes and Red Bull going at each other. Toto Wolff and Christian Horner just cannot resist one opportunity to take a jab at each other. So, it's fun. It's fun for us. It's fun for us to see them lose their minds at each other, and it's sure is entertaining. That said, if Max does end up getting a race ban for something like just one of those innocuous 1-point penalty sort of things here, then I'm not sure the race ban thing really is fit for purpose. If he was ever going to eat one, if he was ever going to have to sit on the side, it would have been after Spain, where he tried ramming George off the road, cleverly, but still, we knew what he was doing. Or Mexico last year when he threw Norris off the track. I think a couple of times in that race really drove him dirty. I think there's hard racing and there's dirty racing, and I think Max really crossed the line in Mexico last year. I love Max as well, but let's call it what it is. If he was ever going to eat a ban, it should have been then and there. I think to let it go and then potentially ban him for something innocuous like speeding in the pit lane by accident or something like that, I think would just be absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, maybe the stewards got to look at themselves. Other news as well, the Austrian Grand Prix, considering I'm such a fan of it, and it is a great track, a great looking track, and a great racing track as well, which is very, very important. Singapore looks great, but the racing is dog shit. Austria looks great, and the racing is fantastic. Lovely stuff. This Grand Prix has been extended until 2041, so F1 will be coming back here for the next, God, what would that be, 16 seasons? Fuck. They're really liking these long-term deals. There's a bunch of circuits now who are signed up for the mid to end of the 2030s. I think Albert Parker's as well. A whole bunch of them. So it's strange in a way, I think, seeing this. So I just fixed something up here. It's strange in a way seeing all these like really long-term deals. I don't know if Bernie Ecclestone was really a thing with that. It's quite brave of these promoters as well. I know that F1 is very popular right now, but into 2041, would it still be as popular? Could be. Who knows? Honestly. So what are we, about 2 minutes? Oh, how about that? Stream's just gone down. Lovely. So hopefully Foxtel can sort itself out. In the meantime, should be getting the picture back soon. In the meantime, what is the news now? Max has 1 penalty point. That's all boring. Max to Mercedes. Maybe that story's coming alive again. I think maybe that's why Horner gets so miffed with Toto Wolff. Well, that's not the only reason, let's face it. Picture's back, lovely. It's not the only reason why he gets miffed with the guy. They've got a long, sordid history, but lately, I mean, last year, Toto Wolff was doing this with Max last year. He was sort of like stringing him along, maybe just trying to disrupt Red Bull. I mean, they weren't really title rivals last season, but if you ever wanted to throw a grenade into an opposing team, you'd probably take the chance. And that was the chance. So Grand Prix starts in about 55 seconds. Lovely. So I'll just wrap this up. Max to Mercedes is the rumour. Max to Aston Martin is the rumour. Max staying at Red Bull is the rumour. It's still very early. The silly season promises to still be quite silly. If Max moves, it could get very, very silly, but that's a big if. Horner has said, I think overnight or this morning, he said that Max is just getting annoyed by all of these Verstappen to Red Bull rumours, so we'll see. Anyway, looks like all the tyre choices are out. Gasly on the softs, Hadjar, Colapinto, Behrman, Hulkenberg on the softs. So 5 on the softs, everybody else on the mediums. A little bit of strategic variance there. They're saying 2 stops, and it is hot today, so I would assume that these Pirellis are going to fall apart more likely than stay together. Now, almost time for their formation lap to get underway, and here we go. Looks like the first 2 rows have gotten away well, the first 3 have gotten away well. Max, Bortoletto, everyone looks like they're getting off the grid nice and slowly. Lovely. Who are we thinking's going to win today? Because the sheer pace that he's shown in qualifying, I'd say you'd probably be brave betting against Lando Norris. That said, Carlos Sainz has not gotten off the grid. Well, fuck. Car's stuck in first gear. Well, okay. That's either something that he can maybe he can fix that with a bit of a reset from his car's computer, but more likely that thing is fucked and is going to get pushed into the pits and retired. Shit. Bad weekend for Carlos Sainz. Bad weekend. Starting 19th. Shitty qualifying. The car was broken. I mean, it was physically broken. Something on the bodywork yesterday, but it looks like that car is going nowhere. And if they don't... Where's Norris? Norris is rounding turn 9 now. Or turn 8. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is saying the car is stock, so it's not going anywhere. They're going to have to potentially call the start of this race off, and they're coming around the final couple of corners now. I get the feeling this race is going to be delayed. Unless they can get Sainz moving now, like right fucking now. And he's still sitting there. Nah, they're going to abort the start. No, now they're starting to push it. Okay, so the car can move. But now you've got these other guys coming right up the back of them. And now they've pushed the car into 17th, into Ocon's grid spot. So where the fuck is he supposed to go? Yeah, aborted start. Okay. Well, that's a shame. It looks like Carlos Sainz has actually gotten going. I have never seen... This is like Hakkinen at Brazil in 99. Just the gears came back and now he's on his way. And look at all of those flares that have been wasted. It wasn't even the real race start. That's a shame. Yeah, so they are going to... They've already said they're aborting the start, so the start will be aborted. You know, they're not just going to suddenly get the race underway with Carlos Sainz halfway around his warm-up lap. All right. Well, we've got another 10 minutes to kill then. How about that? So if we didn't need the fire at all, we've already got a red flag essentially. All right. It was all so calm 5 minutes ago. It was all so calm and so nice. It was a very warm, sunny afternoon. It felt like the kind of Sunday where you'd mow a lawn and take a nap, you know? Hmm. Science. Yeah, looks like he's kind of going to the pits. Maybe have a pit lane start instead. Now, I don't know how that car has suddenly got itself going, but I do wonder if we will end up seeing it after all in the race. It's hot there too. It's really fucking hot. Like, it's not great for these cars to just be sitting on the grid for so long. And Carlos has gone to the end of the pit lane. It's on fire. The car is blowing up. Oh my goodness! It's parked at the end of the pit lane. It is roasting. It's the brakes. It's the brakes at the end. Okay, so it's not the. At the very least, it's not the. It's not the engine bay. It's just the actual brakes themselves have caught fire. I think that car's fucked, to be honest. All right, cool. I mean, why not? It's not the first time that he's been on fire in Austria. All right, formation lap will start in 10 minutes time, so we get to run it back, do it again. Neat. Why not? You know, that's a shame. Oh well. Anyway. So now that that's happened, I guess we've got 10 minutes to talk about Checo Perez. Now, he had an interview, I think it was part of a podcast a few days ago, and he basically laid out what was his side of last season, when it all started falling apart. When it all started falling apart from Red Bull, and why he isn't around, because he should have been around. He should be around now. He should be 18th on the grid today. Not saying that he would be, but he should be in that seat. Who knows if he would have had a handle on it. I mean, he certainly did fucking struggle with it last year. Really, really did. He didn't do that much better than Tsunoda or Lawson have managed to do with it. Now, they're wheeling science away here. And it just... That thing just looks fucked. It's like smoking like a steam train. It's... Yeah, okay, well... God knows what's going on with that car. Who knows? Who knows, but to my knowledge, it looks completely fucked. And they keep going at the brakes with a fire extinguisher, so I'm not sure that's great to have all of that shit all over the brakes either. Oh well, throw this race in the bin. Start again. Formation lap begins in 8 minutes and 33 seconds. So, anyway, Checo Perez basically saying that from Red Bull's point of view, they run a second car because they absolutely have to. If they didn't have to run a second car, then they wouldn't. I mean, it's pretty bloody obvious to anyone who's been paying attention to that team, but they are all Max Verstappen. They are absolutely head over heels for Max. I mean, it worked last year because Max himself, I think, would have won the Constructors' Championship last season. Definitely in 2023, rather. He would have won the Constructors' Championship by himself. Ended up getting the 24 Championship over the line, just himself. No, of course, Red Bull lost the Constructors to McLaren last year, didn't they? Oh, that car is fucking toast, yeah. The science is done. It's over. That thing is cooked like it's just had 3 bong hits. James Vowles is getting a migraine up there. Yeah, science is out of the car. Bastard. Fuck. Well, bollocks. Anyway. Basically, Checo was saying didn't get support out of the team. Didn't really get the support that he needed. Ended up getting paid handsomely to fuck off from the team, which they had to because they'd re-signed him for 25 and 26, and he, wasn't going to see any of that. As for the future, We'll see. I'm hearing that Checo might end up at Cadillac. I'm hearing as well Valtteri Bottas might leave Mercedes as a reserve driver to race for Cadillac, and I've also heard that Zhou Guanyu is a shoe-in for the Cadillac seat. So unless there is an outsider, and I'm not hearing any other names linked to that seat, to be honest. Colton Herta's not going to happen. Kyle Kirkwood's not going to happen. I think the Andretti link as well to Andretti Autosport and all of that, or whatever they call themselves now, Andretti Global. Fuck up. The link to the Andretti team, I think, is it's still there, but it's not nearly as big as it used to be. I think Cadillac would like to have an American driver one day. I mean, that would absolutely be right up their alley because they really are wanting to be the American team. We've already got an American team, but they want to be a legit American team. And being Cadillac rather than Haas CNC machinery is a little bit more of a pull, I think. For the Yankee fans, that said, I don't see them getting an American driver in that seat. Jack Crawford's probably not going to fucking happen, let's face it. Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood, Which I don't mind as well. I don't mind seeing Colton Herta and Kyle Kirkwood in IndyCar either, because I like those guys. They're fantastic. They're great to watch, and I would rather watch them competing for wins and winning in IndyCar and running the Indy 500 rather than struggling at the back for the brand new Cadillac team. So it makes sense that team would want to go for two experienced drivers, which there's very little more experienced in the paddock right now than Valtteri Bottas and Checo Perez. So we'll see how that goes. Zhou Guanyu as well also has his toe in that team. There's the Ferrari link as well because they're using Ferrari engines. Cadillac's very interested in getting a bigger presence in the Chinese market. Alonso complaining, saying his seat is 200 degrees. Yeah, fuck. It does look hot out there. I mean, like, as an Aussie, I sort of laugh when it hits 30 and they all just start, like, dropping dead over there, like, haha, but, I mean, bless them, they're not used to it. And an F1 car runs hot. Like, the engine is right behind you, and that thing is hot as a son of a bitch. I mean, you saw Carlos Sainz's car just burst into fucking flames just for sitting still too long in the pit lane, so... Very full grandstands as well. There's George Russell. Now the Mercedes, I'm not expecting a lot out of today. Make sure there's plenty of waters for the mechanics. Everyone's dripping, says George Russell. Bless him. Always looking out for his buddies. What they didn't broadcast just then was George suggesting that they steal all the Red Bull water, hide it from them. I'm not expecting a lot out of the Mercedes. I mean, starting 5th and 9th, there's not really that much to expect out of them. This week, they did win in Canada. They did have a double podium in Canada, including the win, and that was fantastic. And it was hot in Canada, but it's a very different kind of heat. It's a different kind of track, it's a different kind of heat. It worked in Canada because the asphalt was different than you got here. Here, it really heats up the track. Like, it really heats it up, and that Mercedes just does not really gel with any of the heat. Who's Jurgen Klopp? If he's in charge of Red Bull and their football, I wonder who he would scout for their F1 program. Actually, I wonder if any footballers would have made a decent Formula 1 driver. Not Ronaldo, he crashed his Ferrari. So formation lap begins in 2 minutes time. Until then, what else have we got? It's fire, blah, 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 Austria. I think that's kind of everything that's happened. The only other thing really course, the race looks like it's dropped to 70 laps because we had the aborted start, so that's 1 lap off the total distance. One thing I do want to bring up, Luca Di Maio is the head of the Renault organization. He is the big boss of Renault. He is the one who put Flavio Briatore, Oliver Oakes, Otmar Safnauer before them. He's the one who's been in charge of the Renault F1 team ever since it came back to F1 in 2016. He's left. Courtois would have been the Justin Wilson regen. Fuck, duck, buddy, duck. Don't use your head. What the fuck was I just talking about? Oh yeah, look at Di Maio. He's just left Renault. He is leaving Renault rather. He's out. So that means that whole team has been just a straight up dumpster fire. I tell you what, since they came back in 2016, Renault has never looked like a really truly serious organization. It's never quite gotten it done. Not when Cyril Abiteboul was there, not when Otmar Safnauer was running it for 10 weeks or whatever it was, not when Oliver Oakes was there, not now that Flavio Briatore is there. They've never looked fantastic. They've had, I think, a 4th place finish, 1 or 2, definitely 1 4th place finish in the Constructors' Championship. They had a very fortuitous win in Hungary in 2021. And that's it. That's really all they've had. They had a couple of other podiums, but not much else really to write home about at all. It's looked like a real dumpster fire of an organisation, like a real dumpster fire as we go down to almost starting the formation lap. Should be heading off any minute, any second now. Now that Luca Di Maio was leaving, and he was the one who put there they go, formation lap started. Luca Di Maio is the guy who put Flavio Briatore back in. Now Briatore is a very old school kind of manager. He's very old school. He's like an Italian Helmut Marko, basically. Crazy, really, really crazy kind of guy. Is successful, very successful. Has run that team to 2 different championships. And I don't just mean a single championship win. I mean in the mid-90s and then in the mid-2000s, 2 generations of championship winning cars. Very impressive in that way. However, he doesn't quite sync with modern Formula One. He just doesn't. He's one of those like bombastic sort of characters that only really worked in like the 70s, 80s, 90s. They don't really work anymore. It doesn't really happen. F1's sort of like grown out of that sort of a phase where you would have these like crazy lunatics running around and I don't know, faux rock stars, Eddie Jordan types and things like that. It just doesn't really happen anymore. I think probably the closest thing we had kind of was Gunther Steiner, and he was just well, where is he now? I'll put it that way. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens exactly with that team. Now that Di Maio is going, is Alpine going to keep it at all? Because they've already shelved their engines. Are they going to keep the team? Are they going to keep it as a majority or a minority? Or are they just going to sell the whole thing? Who's going to be running it? Who's going to replace Oliver Oakes? And I've heard Steve Nichols. I think it was Steve Nichols. Was the fellow they were saying is likely to replace Oliver Oakes, but it would be in like a different sort of a role. Not exactly a team principal, because Briatore really is the team principal there. What he says goes. The drivers, God knows what they're doing with that. I would assume that they're going to keep Colapinto, even though he's 14th today. I assume they're going to keep Colapinto through the rest of the season, but you never really know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see if that team can do anything at all in the future, because whoever comes in, maybe they want to keep the program, maybe they want to shelve it, maybe they want to sell it, make some money. We'll see. Either way, looks like the formation lap has almost ended. We're going to try to get underway again, and my goodness, everyone actually got away this time. We'll wait and see if anybody else spontaneously combusts. Latom. Here we go, green flag. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights, 5. Here we go. Decent start out of Norris. Leclerc a little bit laggy. Piastri's going to be right up on him. Now Norris has moved over to cover him, but that might have been a bad idea because Leclerc would have been better in second than Piastri, as if you're Lando Norris. Here is Piastri now. Looks like George Russell's jumped Lewis Hamilton into fourth as well, so Piastri's going to go around the outside of Lando Norris. There's going to be no room to get through there, surely. Antonelli, oh, very deep, and he's taken out Max. Amazing. Into turn 3. Looks like Antonelli has absolutely punted Max around. There's going to be a lot of damage on that car. There's going to be a lot of damage on both of those cars. George Russell is still mixing it with the Ferraris. Hamilton and Russell side by side. Into the left-handers. Oh, Hamilton on the outside, George on the inside. George is going to fall back for now, and Hamilton's going to stay ahead. So Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell. That's the top 5. Gasly, 6th, and safety car. Surely a safety car. Yep, there it is. That's it. Max is done. That's, you know. And there's Antonelli sitting there quite sheepishly. With the in-helmet visor, in-helmet camera as well on Antonelli, so that will be an interesting replay. It looked like Antonelli just went spearing into that corner, just totally out of control. Max just looking at his car, going over to see Kimi, doesn't really look at him that much. I think he's kind of hanging around just to maybe have a word with Kimi Antonelli, but I mean, what are you really going to say? The kid, we all know what's happened. Yeah, he looks bloody sheepish as well. Yeah. Max is big brothering him there, I think. Yeah. I mean, you know, I think Kimi already knows what he's done there. Some lessons don't need to be said over and over, if you know what I mean. I think Max is probably pissed, but he's probably thinking, what the fuck am I actually going to achieve tonight with this piece of shit car? So, you know. Either way, it's been, that's 3 cars out, and we've only just started lap 2. Amazing. It's not the biggest crash into turn 3 this weekend, but it certainly had the biggest, I think, person involved, Max Verstappen. That's curtains, I think, on any kind of championship challenge that he might have had. It's like Ocon got absolutely bullied out at the start as well. Although it looks like he's picked up a couple of places, so he must have got them back during the whole Verstappen-Antonelli fracas. Now, that's an interesting thing that Lando did, covering Leclerc into turn 1. I don't think he really needed to do that, but by doing that, oh yeah, you could see Antonelli, yeah, just totally ran out of room, and looks like Lawson got a big chunk of that as well. Now, Lawson is running 9th, so he hasn't pitted. So, don't know how much damage he's really gotten there. Looks like it was just a little bit of a touch. Yeah, Max is rather upset on the radio. It's a shame because there's a lot of orange in those grandstands. It is a Red Bull home race. Yeah, Antonelli absolutely out of control there. Ah, well, that's a shame. Yeah, Antonelli just apologising. I mean, it's pretty clear cut what's happened here. It's another replay, so Antonelli just, yeah. Looks like he dived out of the way to avoid Lawson, who was checking up. So the thing is, in the first lap, the first couple of laps, because there's a lot of traffic, the braking point into these like heavy braking areas actually moves back a bit. It's a bit like when you're catching traffic on the motorway, or on the freeway, on the highway, whatever you might have. Where it just backs up a lot. It's just caught Antonelli out this time. We'll see if he learns his lesson. I assume that he will from today, but you know, what can you do? Max is out, Antonelli's out, which is a bloody shame, because that's 2 points of interest, I think, gone from this race. Now, another big point of interest, the safety car is ending, so we're about to go green again. Norris and Piastri, 1st and 2nd. Hamilton, Leclerc, 4th and 3rd respectively, then Russell in 5th. Russell getting bullied out by Hamilton there. Not that I would expect the Mercedes to really be able to hang around this week. We'll see what the Ferraris can do, because they do have new bits on that car, and it does look a little bit more lively. Here we are, restart. Norris has gunned it, and he's away. Bortoletto very tail happy on the restart there as well, coming through the final corner. I tell you, Gasly's starting on the softs. That's absolutely worked, because he's up to 6 now. Oi. Got a little mischief maker in the back, I think. Oh, side by side. Who's that? Colapinto, I think, in one of the Haas's. That'd be Behrman. Yes, come here. Oh, George having a little look at Lewis Hamilton. Now, the big thing here, there's a couple of things going on this race that I want to keep an eye on. One is, what can Hamilton do with that Ferrari? They've got new bits on the car. He's qualified well enough with it. We'll see if he can keep up with Leclerc, because his race pace has been generally quite poor compared to Charles Leclerc this year. So we'll see what Lewis can do with that car. Now that they've added new bits to it, maybe he can gel with it a bit. That said, I think if Lewis is keeping up his 2025 trend of being very far behind Leclerc, I think... wait, come here. I mean, it's just what I deal with here. I think if he keeps up with his trend of being quite far behind Charles Leclerc, then I think maybe some uncomfortable conversations are going to have to be had. Russell complaining that Lewis closed the door under braking. I mean, George has said that plenty of times in the past. Wait. Come on. I'm trying to watch a race, mate. Jeez. Here's a word of advice. Don't ever get cats. Don't ever do it. It's just not worth it. Anyway. So we'll see what Hamilton can do with the Ferrari. Yes, I know. Alright, this is it. Excuse me, you've been very rude. Come on. Shush. I know. There you go. Alright, what did I miss? Looks like absolutely nothing. Now, another thing I want to say about that start. Lando moving to cover off Charles Leclerc. I think maybe he panicked and thought that Charles had gotten a way better start than he did. Oh, Piastri having a look at Lando into turn 4. Just doesn't quite work for him. What do you want? Just doesn't quite work there. So Lando this time is ahead of Piastri, so we'll see how Piastri wants to race him. It was very interesting in Canada last time, and it ended in tears for Lando Norris when he just kind of drove into a gap that didn't exist. So I know. So we'll see. We'll see what McLaren want to allow between these boys now, because I think last time out that really would have put the shits right up them. They threw away a lot of points. Not that I think the Constructors' Championship's in doubt, or the Drivers' title. It's going to go to one of these two, but generally you don't want your cars hitting each other, and you definitely don't want it 2 races in a row. I think Lando covering off Charles Leclerc on the start, let Piastri into second, and this is what I was saying just a couple of laps ago, right after the start, I think he would have been a lot happy with Charles Leclerc in second, rather than Oscar Piastri, because Piastri is going to give him so much more grief than Charles could do. Look at that, Leclerc's about 3 seconds behind. Now, how long Leclerc could have... Oh, Piastri, your call on the racing situation. Is that to him? So they're asking Oscar Piastri, essentially, do you want to race against? Which he would probably say, fuck yeah, let me race. So Colapinto and Behrman moment has been noted by the race stewards. We'll see what they say about that. Now, if Leclerc could have kept Piastri behind, probably not. At the very least, he may have made him work for it. You never know. He may have made Oscar Piastri work to get by him. Maybe Lando could have made a little break. What he really didn't need is Oscar hanging around from the very start in his DRS zone. Very interesting what's going on with these McLaren lads, to be honest. It's I was saying it last season. It had a couple of little flare-up points, like Monza, like Hungary, and I thought, how well are these guys going to be able to play together when it's just them going for a championship? And it looked like it would be just them going for the World Championship, with how competitive that McLaren was getting and how lackluster the Red Bull was getting. And I'd tell you, it's very interesting. Piastri's really upped his game this year as well. I would have thought going into the season, absolutely hands down, Lando Norris will have it. But Oscar has really, really, really upped his game. Not that he was ever bad, but he would have maybe half the time last season he would be behind Lando comfortably over a race weekend. He would have times where he just goes completely missing and things like that, but he's really, really come alive this year. He's totally shelved all of that silly bullshit. He's absolutely gone for it. DRS open here, so we'll see what McLaren want to do between these two today. Now, what I was saying about Hamilton, seeing if he can keep up with Charles Leclerc this time. He's about 2 seconds behind now, so it's not looking good for Lewis immediately. It's like everybody, Albon is really the cork in the bottle here, because if you look behind Albon, everybody is in our DRS train. Everybody from Albon back down to Hadjar in 17th. Everyone is in that DRS train, so Albon doing his very best Jan Trulli impression today. Albon, an amazing start, by the way, up in 6th. Very well done. So it's just a replay of Albon getting by Pierre Gasly. Gasly on the softs, so those tyres are going to be screaming for screaming to get changed very soon. I mean, these are Pirellis, and they don't hold that well together at the best of times. Piastri looking around the outside, just having a little peek. Just a quick peek. Nothing serious, just like maybe eyeing up a Christmas present under the tree. This is very interesting so far. We're 10 laps in. And these two, it's almost mesmerizing now. I think Oscar's had Lando's number pretty comfortably this season, but I think in terms of natural talent, they're quite similar. They're quite close together. I think Lando's maybe getting in his own head a little bit. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people maybe have been making out, but that said, here we go. Oscar around the outside into turn 3. He's going to be ahead. Lando's going to... Oh, Oscar's pinched a brake though. He's going wide out the end of turn 3. Lando now has the DRS going into turn 4. Down the hill. Oh, Lando to the inside. Another little Oscar lock-up. Lando goes through. Lovely stuff. Oh, Piastri's going for it again. Oh, just again, having a look. Oh, this is fantastic. And now he's dropped back. Okay. Well, that was fun. So about half a second back now. This is what I love about the Austria track. It really encourages this and Interlagos. They're small, they're not complicated, and they really encourage good racing. Genuinely good racing. Like, look at the mad ring that they're going to be using next season in Madrid. It looks like a straight piece of shit. It doesn't look like a fun track. I remember when they launched the Vegas track in 23, when they showed the original layout of it, and I said, this looks great. It looks like it's going to be good for racing, because it's just like one of these tracks. It's simple, but with decent passing spots, decent DRS zones. It's really all you need. It's really all you need. That's why races in Interlagos, that's why races at the Red Bull Ring generally work. That's why they're generally great, because it just encourages the shit. Oh, here we go. Side by side, Bortoletto and Gasly. And he's getting it done. Bortoletto is absolutely getting it done this weekend. My goodness. The Sauber's kind of starting to uncrap itself. It's a bit like when you've had bad diarrhea and you're at about that 28th wipe. That's about where Sauber is now. There's still shit everywhere, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. Piastri now 0.8 seconds. So still within DRS range, but maybe just holding back a little bit. Maybe charging his battery, letting the tyres cool down just a little bit before he starts to go again. Now Gasly has hit the pits. Hulkenberg as well, and Behrman has already pitted too. Now, if you could excuse me, come back. Thank you. So, looks like the softs really have not lasted that long, have they? So, Gasly, Behrman on the hards. Looks like Hulkenberg's out on the mediums. Yeah, Hulkenberg is on the mediums. So, could Behrman and Gasly make it to the end on what? Could they make it to the end from here? I wouldn't think so. I think they're going to have to stop at least one more time. I just can't see the tyres holding on that long. I can imagine if they swap tyres again, then they're going to want to go quite deep into the race, but we'll see just how far they can go. Albon into the pits now. So that Trulli train that was forming in the midfield might actually be the reason why we're getting some pit stops here among the medium runners. Norris looks like he went just a little bit deep into turn 4 there as well. So Oscar is keeping him honest. The Ferrari challenge has totally fallen apart, by the way. 5.5 seconds back to Leclerc, another 4.2 back to Lewis Hamilton, so fucking forget that. Those red cars aren't going to do shit today. Not unless something very weird happens. The replay, this is Behrman and Pierre Gasly. So this would be Behrman, who was already... So that looks like the undercut has absolutely worked a treat. This is Oscar Piastri, once again, looking at Lando Norris. Doesn't want to get him into turn 1. He wants to get him into turn 3. Wants to get him into turn 3 because if he can do that, and if he can cut him off at the apex, then it kills the run that he could get into turn 4. Now what Lando needs to do is to just cover the inside. If he can cover the inside in turn 3, and if he can cover the inside in turn 4, he might be okay. The best thing he can do is force Oscar around the outside, because it's so much harder to make a pass work from the outside here, especially because all of these, except for the next 2 turns here, all of these things are right-handers, and if you're constantly on the outside, well, it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult to make a pass work from out there. Ooh. So Piastri again keeping him earnest. One other thing is the lap is very, very short. What are they doing now? 1 minute 11s. So the lap is short, the lap time is short. It means that we just cycle through these things, so they are constantly just putting themselves into the passing zones. A bit like Interlagos as well, because it's a shorter lap. You you're constantly in these passing zones. You're constantly under pressure here, and it just really, really improves the racing. 3/10 now between the McLarens. Leclerc with more radio sass. You can, if you look at Leclerc, if you supercut his radio messages from the start of 2022 through to 2025, you will just see or hear him very, very obviously starting to just lose his mind. Albon, that's it. Albon's retiring. Oh dear. Now, what is this? Is this because it's so hot here? Is this because is this because the Mercedes engines are... There's a bit of speculation about the reliability, the fragility of the Mercedes power unit the last couple of races. So we'll see if that's come to haunt Albon, or if maybe he's had a gearbox issue as well. Norris getting racing advice from his engineer. How embarrassing. What you want to hear from your engineer, I think, as a race driver is, this is how the other guy's tyres look. This is his fuel setting. You know, things like that. What you don't want to hear from an engineer is, if you... What is this? Yuki Tsunoda actually making a pass. Wow. Who was that on? Oh, Lance Stroll. Oh, he shoved him out the way as well. Not sure about that one. Oh, a little bit of damage as well to Yuki's front wing there. Oh, Yuki. Oh, goodness. It's just not happening in that seat, is it? I think it's at this point, if you take Yuki out of that seat, if you put Hadjar in there, you'll cook his career. If you put Lindblad in there, you'll probably cook his career before it even gets started. I'm not sure who you could put... Oh, Russell, box. I'm not sure who you could put in the second Red Bull seat and actually make it count anymore. That thing is just fucking cooked. It's cooked. They've made a car that just cannot be driven, apart from Max Verstappen, who's not in the race. Which means you're probably not going to have a Red Bull racing, scoring a point today at their home Grand Prix. How embarrassing. Yeah, what I was saying, you don't want like your engineer telling you like, hey, if you do this at this corner, you know, if you make this apex, then the other guy won't be able to get near you. Like, you should really be like knowing that. That's like an instinct kind of thing, you know what I mean? Surprising how close Piastri can follow for so long and not wreck his tyres. I mean, the McLaren tyre conservation is one of their big strengths this year. They just don't seem to chew it like everybody else does. Now, why that is, everyone was looking at their suspension setups and what maybe there was something fantastical in the brakes, in the brake drums, or, you know, some exotic sort of steel work back there, but what it looks like is just genuinely good car design, and it just is very, very effective and very, very kind on its tires. It's not... Oh. So Norris being told basically the gap to Bortoletto, and if he's going to pit, it should be okay. Now, does Norris really want to break away anymore from Bortoletto as long as he himself is okay? You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm Oscar Piastri, I'd just go rogue. I would pit before Norris. Just undercut him and just say, like, alright, I'm in the pits now, so now whatever you got. This is what I'm talking about. Like, how dirty do they really want to make it? Because about it. We'll see if Oscar wants to do that. Oh, he's going to go for it. Oh, he's not going to make it. Ah, big lockup. Big lockup. Yeah, well, Oscar's tyres are certainly fucking cooked now. God damn. So Oscar, yeah, that's bad for him. Norris box, so this is it. This is the moment. And Piastri is not going to be able to get it done, and he's going to be undercut as well by Lando Norris. Now Charles Leclerc is too far behind to really force anything. It's surprising that they haven't pitted Hamilton maybe earlier to try to maybe mess with the McLarens, maybe think about making them pit a bit earlier. I mean, that's just me sitting in this chair, Monday morning quarterbacking a race strategy. A little bit tardy, that stop for Norris. 3.1 seconds, so... 3.1 seconds. We'll see. I'm expecting Oscar to pit now, so Lando's going to have really the outlap of his life here, because if Oscar pits now, like I'm expecting him to this lap, and he's going to have maybe a 2-second stop, that could be the undercut advantage wiped out. It could potentially be very, very, very close between the McLarens. They're not even going to pit him. I have a flat spot, so that's McLaren trying to stretch out the strategy, and that's Oscar saying, fuck no, I don't want to do that, I want to pit. Yeah, so replay here. Oh, Oscar very lucky to not collide there, and looks like Piastri is not pitting at all. That's Lando going into the pits as a replay. Yeah, just slow front on the front. That's a shame for Lando. Piastri has gone through then. I'm like watching the track map over here, and I'm seeing Piastri go right near the pit entrance, and then they cut to a McLaren pitting. Like, ooh, is this it? No, it's a replay. So, is this McLaren manipulating it? If you want to use that word, is this flat spot looks okay to continue? Let me know. Oscar saying it's not pleasant, but it's okay. So Oscar is getting cucked by his pit crew, I guess. Now I wonder if this is McLaren just sort of playing nice to Lando Norris. Ferrari used to do this back in the day. In fact, a lot of teams used to do this back in the day. After the team orders ban happened, after this race in 2002, there was a ban on explicit team orders. You cannot tell one car to move over for another, which is ridiculous because that's just part of the sport. I think because Schumacher was just racking and stacking wins back then, everyone didn't like that he just racked and stacked another win that he didn't earn. Although he gave away 2, really, that he earned that year, so, you know. Be that what it may, but... you can be clever about it. Like I think McLaren are doing here with Piastri. I think they're keeping him out just until Lando is going to be safely ahead. Unless they are really diverging the strategies. Which I don't know why they would want to. Okay, so if that radio message there means, do you want to pit now and come out 1.5 seconds behind Lando Norris with basically fresher tyres, or do you want to pit later, be 4 seconds behind Lando, but have fresher tyres and be able to go quicker? And Piastri is playing the long game. He's very Prost-esque in that sort of way. He's very, very quick, but he's also quite clever in what he does. Very dry, like Kimi Räikkönen, very droll, very unassuming. Just a Melbourne kid, really. I've met a bunch of them. They're all like that. It's a bit like Daniel Ricciardo. It's just a Perth kid. I've met a whole bunch of them like that. I could tell you from experience, that's not an act that he used to put on. That was the real deal. Alright, they're telling Lando that he's doing a good job and Oscar's pace hasn't really picked up. I think maybe Piastri's just trying to stretch out how long it's going to take for him to pit here. No? There we go, box. So is that going to be the delta? It's only about 3 or 4 laps worth. Which isn't a lot. I mean, it will be about 4 seconds, but that's not a whole lot, especially if they're putting hard tyres on, and it looks like they are. It's not a whole lot of tyre difference there for Oscar Piastri. Now, Lando is absolutely going to get by him here. He's only 15 odd seconds behind him here, so... not a great pit stop. For Piastri, 3.4, so fuck it. Whoop. Just like that pen. Oh, you can throw that pit stop out the window. That thing is cooked. Now it comes to Ferrari. What are they going to do? It's interesting that they asked Piastri if he would want the Delta, and Oscar said yes, and then they just pitted him like straight away. It's like what I was saying before. After the after the team orders ban, where the pit lane cannot say, God, massive bumps as well. I was going to say that when Oscar was pulling in just before. It looks really bumpy on his right in. Yeah, front left just didn't want to come off. Now, Ferrari used to be, well, all the teams used to be very clever in how they would arrange cars. They would just, instead of explicitly saying, Felipe, Fernando is faster than you, or anything like that, I think that was the most explicit radio message, where they feared maybe the driver wasn't going to be that reciprocal to what they were asking. They would do things like they would just maybe undercook one car's strategy by 2 or 3 seconds to let the other one go by, and things like that. That team orders ban was always just so bloody awkward to me. I just never quite understood. I mean, it was a knee-jerk reaction. What is that? Bortoleto complaining that Hulkenberg's not letting him by. They're saying that he will let you by, but you need to be in DRS range, so he is in DRS range. Now, what that's saying is they don't want Hulkenberg to lose too much time letting Bortoleto go by. Because you do end up losing a bit of time moving across, especially like if you're a backmarker getting lapped, you end up just shipping more and more seconds the more that you have to get offline and let other cars go by. So it also leaves you quite vulnerable to other cars. Now, what is this? That is Hulkenberg going by Lance Stroll, which is why he wasn't prepared to just let Bortoleto by, because he was running his own race there. Hamilton in the pits. 2.2 seconds. That's more of a pit stop. That's how you do it. So Lewis is going to come out quite comfortably behind Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, who gets very, very close to Fernando Alonso in turn 1 there. Alonso with the DRS in front of Charles Leclerc, which is kind of why he's been able to hold on so far, but this will be it. Charles Leclerc goes by and Nando knows it, lets him by. He'll use the DRS, but I wouldn't imagine Alonso's going to have a serious go at this car. He knows that it's just going to be wasting time. So Colapinto's just been passed on track as well. Hulkenberg by Gasly, so it's all going off in the midfield right now. Ask and you shall receive. There we go. The midfield fight, and that's Bortoleto going by Gasly, but only for a second. Gasly's going wide. Bortoleto goes by him again. So Piastri getting told, don't pull such a silly move again. That's Charles Leclerc getting by Liam Lawson. See ya later. So McLaren are probably having flashbacks to 2 weeks ago in Canada. Like I was saying, the only thing worse than having your cars crash in one race as doing it 2 races in a row, which ironically actually happened at this fucking circuit in the year 2000 between the Prosts. I tell you, I reckon the Ferrari pit wall probably looked at the McLarens locking up, about to crash into each other, and then just hearts sank as they made it through turn 4 unscathed. That's Bortoleto getting by Hulk, so away he goes, and he will likely try to keep Hulkenberg behind him with the DRS. A little bit of a favour. So tell you, Lawson's been running awfully long. Up in 4th, has not pitted yet. Still running the mediums. Alonso as well, so I wonder if they're just trying to run these boys to one stop. Hajar's listed as out now, so I think he's just... No, he's out of the pits. Okay, he's not stopped his car. Oh, this is what? Liam Lawson? Lewis Hamilton? Oh, very close for comfort. Hamilton gets through. That is not just a tyre delta, that's a car delta as well. So here's a replay. Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. No love lost there. Pretty bog standard move. Oh. Bam, and a trip across a sausage curb. Thankfully didn't end up on fire in the trees like in some god-awful movie I could name. Gasly complaining that he's got no grip. And he has pitted as well, so... Shit, I guess these tyres are not keeping together on the Alpine today. Oh, that's Tsunoda and Colapinto going at it. Colapinto comes out of turn 3 ahead. Yuki Tsunoda is having another look at him. Oh, to the inside for turn 4. Watch out, Yuki. That's very tight. They're going to hit. That's a spin. Oh dear. That's a hit. That'll be a penalty. That'll be a penalty for Yuki. That was... it's a bit clumsy down there. It's a bit of the Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton down in that corner. It's a strange one because the line into that corner will allow for 2 cars, but almost halfway through, it just, both the lines, like both racing lines, just kind of blend into one another, and it's very, very difficult to, yeah. I mean, Colapinto wasn't right on the edge of the track, but he wasn't that far away from it either. Yeah. A bit ambitious there from Yuki, I think. And Yuki, you may as well delete your social media now, buddy, because you're going to have about 80,000 angry Argentinians filling your DMs with bullshit. So Tsunoda stops, new pit. New pit, why not? New nose cone, and away he goes. We'll see if how much damage has been put on. Yes, I know, you're bloody heavy, mate. You're very, very heavy. No, what do you think of the race? Who's going to win? Huh? Alonso? You're fucking cooked, mate. Come on. Jesus, mate. It's not 2005. It's a shame. That Red Bull seat just really isn't going great. There's Flavio Briatore for Alpine. So stewards have noted that collision. It's going to be a slam dunk. It'll be Tsunoda, even though you could say that he's already taken a penalty because he had to pit for a new nose cone, but he's going to eat a time penalty for that as well. Now Ocon versus Gasly here. A lot of history between these two. Esteban Ocon has actually been in 2 films what have come out this year. Movie star that he is. Gasly forcing him to the outside. Esteban sees it coming. He's going to try the switch back out of turn 4 through turn 5. Not quite enough room there. He's going to throw it up the inside at turn 6. Not enough room there. Just sort of hangs out there. Gasly really looks slow in these corners. I mean, he certainly wasn't kidding when he said the car feels like it's going to spin in every corner, because he's driving these things so bloody slowly. That is someone with zero faith in their car. Now Lawson in the pits. 33 laps. 33 laps. Alonso still has not pitted either. So it's safe to say they are both going for a one stop today. Oh, here's Ocon. Up the inside into turn 3, and that worked. Alright, there we go. It's another good thing about this track. You don't get cars stuck in traffic. Especially not since DRS became a thing. I mean, you get... Oh, there we go. 10-second time penalty to Tsunoda. Yeah, kind of saw that coming. I mean, you get DRS zones in every track. But it's only at race circuits like this one where... there's just such a great opportunity for passing. You don't have races just getting stifled like Alonso had at Abu Dhabi by Vitaly Petrov all those years ago. You don't really see that anymore. Not at tracks like this, at least, and it's just what makes them so great. The race is always on. In earnest, 2.8 seconds for Alonso, so not the greatest stop in the world, and looks like he's going to get passed by Liam Lawson. And he has. But he comes out in 12th on the hards, and we will see both of them. So Lawson 11th, Alonso in 12th. Keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them for the rest of the race, because I get the feeling they're not going to stop again. Not unless there is maybe a fortuitous safety car at the end for them, but I get the feeling they're both going to go for the one stop, and just so be it. Now Ollie Behrman's coming up behind Pierre Gasly, so he's going to get double teamed by the Haas's today. Not like that, you sicko. And if you're wondering why we haven't seen the McLarens in a while, it's because 5.5 seconds now between Norris and Piastri, so whatever delta they were talking about, you know, doesn't exist. The tardy pit stop for Piastri didn't help him. I thought maybe there would be a bit more divergence between their pit strategies. Otherwise, I don't know why they wouldn't just pit Piastri immediately after Norris and just sort of keep it, you know. As Behrman goes past Pierre Gasly. Go, Gasly's fighting him back here out of turn 3. Behrman's going to keep this into turn 4, and he's already ahead. And clever car placement by Ollie Behrman means that Gasly can't really come back at him either. Good stuff. He's one to keep an eye on, I think, for the future Ollie Behrman. I mean, sort of no shit, but it's going to be interesting to see, especially with Hamilton. Oh, Gasly saying, check if something's broken on the car, so it's really not handling well. The team just asking him to please just stick with it. This is just like one of the... It's like a weekend. I mean, Gasly qualified in the top 10. He was running, 6th, I think, after the first lap. So to be 10th now and just falling backwards is going to be bloody disheartening for him. Lawson, 3 seconds behind. Alonso, 5 seconds behind. Both of them are much fresher tyres, so it could get a lot worse for Pierre Gasly. Behrman's going to be an interesting one to watch because... just looking at Lewis Hamilton, and 3.5 seconds isn't the worst thing in the world. Ooh, Hadjar. Down the inside. Oh, now Colapinto is already... I wonder if he's if he's maybe got a bit of a bruise on the back of his car from that collision with Tsunoda. It's probably sick of seeing Red Bull cars coming up the inside of him today. No, Aja is through nice and safely. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari then. 3.5 seconds, again, it's not the end of the world. That's a pretty okay gap to keep as long as you want to keep your tyres in check. You don't really want to be like right on the back of your teammate, or else you just end up destroying your tyres for no reason. But we'll keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on Piastri. We'll keep an eye on Hamilton, because it looks like they're both in the same boat right now. But Hamilton, I think more so over the course of the season, he's been pretty disappointing. I don't think he's really... I mean, he's the first one to admit he's not really gelling with the car. It's not really happening for him. There's a bit of consternation between himself and the pit crew and all of that sort of stuff. I think because his box office is always going to be a bit of bullshit in the news about him. Every hiccup will be a disaster, if you know what I mean, when Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari are involved. So that said, we'll see how it shapes up for him, because if he can't turn it around this season, if he cannot turn it around next season, I'm not sure exactly where that leaves him. I mean, he'll be 41. Heading into the 2027 season, he will be 42 years old, I think. And if he cannot turn it around at Ferrari, and this is a lot of if, although I suspect this is probably what's going to happen. If you can't turn it around against Leclerc, he ended up getting beaten by Russell overall at the time together, in terms of like wins, poles, just generally how fast they were in the cars. I think Hamilton might have had... I think they were equal points or very close in terms of points, but it... I'd say by the end, Russell pretty much comprehensively had his number. Now, if you cannot get by Russell, and if you cannot get by Charles Leclerc over the course of 5 or 6 seasons, I'm not sure, at age 42, I'm not sure really where that leaves him for F1. I get the feeling he probably could, maybe should have retired. I get the feeling if he had have won the championship in 2021, he would have retired. Yeah. It's Shakespearean, almost. Here is the king, and he's just hanging around too long, and now he's just sort of... his legacy becomes just getting beaten. Not really Shakespearean, more of a Valentino Rossi-esque, where once was the greatest in the world, and now just sort of hung around too long, and is starting to get beaten quite often by his teammates. Anyway, where I'm going with that is, it'll be interesting to see if Ferrari opt for Ollie Behrman, or if maybe they go for somebody else. Because Max Verstappen might be available. George Russell might be available. I don't think they'll go back to Fernando Alonso, especially if they're getting rid of Lewis Hamilton. Again, if. Either way, here we are, lap 40 of 70, so we're more than halfway through the race. Norris, Piastri's caught up by a second here. Keep an eye on Oscar. Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Behrman, and Lawson is your top 10. Then Alonso, Hadjar, Stroll, Colapinto, Gasly, Tsunoda with a time penalty to boot, down in 16th, last of the running order. Both the Williams and Verstappen and Antonelli are out. Now that was Colapinto hitting the pits. So the second stops are going to start happening soon. Now what is this? A replay. This is Stroll and Franco Colapinto. Stroll passing him and getting ahead. And yeah, pretty bog standard there. Nothing truly spectacular there. Piastri, another second it looks like. So Piastri is absolutely on the move here. Now, I wonder if it's coming close, if this maybe what they were talking about with the Delta, if it would not be immediate, but later on. Or if they were just telling Piastri, just save your tyres, save them, and then use them from lap 39, 40 onwards. Now, The thing is, Norris can cover this depending on... where's Hamilton? There's a big gap behind Hamilton, about 21 seconds behind Norris. There's a big gap behind Lewis Hamilton that he could slot into. Otherwise, he might have to look at that gap between Piastri and Leclerc to slot into for a pit stop. I think Norris is right on the edge of being able to undercut. Pit first, undercut, and then just be done with it. The gap's come down just a little bit more as well between Norris and Piastri. It looks like it's kind of stabilising at 3 seconds now. Is that Piastri letting off? Or is that Norris speeding up a little bit? Very interesting. Now... It's quite heartening to see both the Saubers riding up there as well. Even if they are slightly out of a pit sequence. I mean, they've done great. They really have. Alright, so... it looks like maybe... it was just traffic, and that was Lando's problem there. Because they have just gone through quite a lot of lap traffic. There's a bit of a gap now for Norris. Stroll is in between both the McLarens right now. So Nico Hülkenberg pits, so that's one Sauber out of the top 10. They're still doing well. That car's, like I was saying before, it's sort of unshittening itself, but it looks like Hülkenberg might come out right between the McLarens here, which would be bad news. You just want attention, don't you? Huh? If you're ever hearing yowling in the background, this is what it is. This demon behind me. Come on. Come on. Yes, I know. I know, you're not getting in the closet. You're not getting in the closet. It's that meme, why can't you just be normal? And then this thing is screaming. That's basically what my life is. No, not up there. Yeah, how about you watch the race, huh? Huh? See, Alonso's not going to win this at all. I don't know what you're talking about earlier. Anyway, Piastri now 3.5 seconds. So it looks like maybe it was just the traffic that was getting in Norris's way. I can imagine, especially after that little scare that Oscar gave the McLaren crew, that they're pretty happy just keeping the 1-2 as it is. I don't think they're going to want to encourage their boys to race. And it is getting quite late in the day as well. There's still 25 laps to go, but I get the feeling you will see a radio call sooner or later, especially if Piastri gets to within 1.5 seconds. You'll see a radio call from McLaren saying, we just want to keep it like this. Basically telling him, you got beat today, Oscar, just suck it up, go on to the next one. 22 points right now is the gap between them. If it stays like this, it will be 15 points going into the next race, which I believe is Silverstone. In fact, is that next week? I get the feeling it might even be next week at Silverstone. It's right in the heart of the year, so these races are going to start coming very quickly. So it's sort of just in the yeah, it is Great Britain, and that is next weekend. So lovely. How about that? This race is so George Russell in the pits. So Kimi Antonelli. Yeah, Kimi Antonelli just basically telling us all how he made a mistake and took Verstappen out. Happens. It happens sometimes. In fact, it's not even the first time that Max has DNF'd early on in this race. I think he's done it 2 other times at least. It's a shame for all of the Max Verstappen fans who have travelled just to see his boy get... I see their boy get absolutely aced on lap 1. I tell you, from experience, I was at Albert Park in 2017, and the cars are all doing their, circling around before, just making their way to the grid before the race start. Like out of the pits, they do a few install laps and things like that. And Daniel Ricciardo, who at the time was the only Aussie on the grid, and there was a lot of hype, new rules package in 2017, and Ricciardo's already had a few wins there. His car just died on the formation lap, and the whole fucking place the atmosphere just killed. It was like being at a fucking funeral. Like everyone was just, so I can imagine there's a little bit of that going around Austria right now. At least a little bit. Especially that one grandstand that's almost entirely orange. I wouldn't say they're all McLaren fans. So Lewis Hamilton now 6.5 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, so it's kind of pretty much business as it has been all season. Outside of the China sprint. So 22 laps to go. 4.3 seconds now between Norris and Piastri. So part of me wonders if this race is still going to bubble into quite the crescendo, because we've seen that quite often, especially in this Pirelli ground effect era. Really just the Pirelli era, where it's sort of the last... Is that Lewis going off? It is. So he's just completely... There's no one around him either. He's not got traffic. That's totally not under pressure, and he's shipped, it looks like, a full 2 seconds in that one corner. God, I thought maybe he was pulling off to retire or something, and that's Piastri, just clobbering his car over the turn 1 exit curb. Now, this is a replay, so Hamilton just gets it a little bit all mixed up in the right on the apex of the corner. Just a little bump over the curb, not too bad. I think the car shouldn't be that damaged after that. Oh, here's Behrman on Stroll. There we go, and I think this, and also Alonso and Lawson, who have quite the history, shall we remember, between those two. These are really the only battles going on right now. Everything else, I think, is just kind of simmering right now. So Lando just been told he's doing a good enough job with his pace. They're just wary of pitting him into quite a big line of traffic now. There's traffic behind. If he pits, there's traffic ahead as well. So 20 laps to go. I wonder if McLaren maybe are trying to eke this into a one-stop. Charles Leclerc is not one stopping. He is in the pits again. So the Ferraris ran longer than the McLarens before. They've run shorter in the second stop, in the second stint. So Leclerc is going to have just a massive, massive window to come out into. Hamilton's going into turn 3. Bortoletto's just coming around the final corner now, so Leclerc has all the clear air in the world that he could possibly want to make this work. In fact, Bortoletto's in the pits. Even more room then. It's been pretty impressive, Bortoletto, this year, I think. I tell you, McLaren have had a pretty decent run when it comes to their junior drivers lately. Bortoletto was theirs, and they ended up letting him go last season so he could join Sauber, and I think they got paid a little bit for that. So Hamilton saying he doesn't want to stop to his pit crew, and now he's stopping, so there's a real miscommunication between Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, I think, going on. I get the feeling he's not really enjoying himself there, not like he thought he might. I'm not sure what else he was expecting, to be honest. It's pretty fucking obvious that Ferrari is they're like an Italian Alpine almost. It's just a constant fucking circus in that team. Oh well, you know, how many times can you teach somebody a lesson before they finally learn? We're about to find out now. George Russell, 1.6 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. He is in 7th, Alonso 6th, Liam Lawson half a second ahead of Alonso in 5th. That's the one thing I think we should be keeping an eye on right now, because Russell is gunning for 5th. Lawson and Alonso I don't think are going to be stopping again. There's quite a bit of a tyre offset. It's about 15 laps, 12, 14 laps-ish. So Lawson's running 5th right now. Russell is going to need to get by Alonso very, very quickly. He's 1.7 seconds behind. He needs to clear Alonso because he needs to clear Alonso to then get by Lawson. Now, Alonso knows this, and he's going to, I think, try to keep as close as he can to the DRS of Lawson. Now, it's going to take a bit out of his tyres, so we'll see just how hard he really wants to fight it. I get the feeling there's enough laps left. I get the feeling Russell will end up 5th in the end. .5 second stop for Lando Norris, who's in the pits as well, so they're not trying to run them to the end at all. It is a 2-stop like we thought. 2.5 seconds is about your most bog standard pit stop. It's on the edge of being shit and not that bad. So Piastri being told he'll be in at the end of the lap. Now Norris is 16.9 seconds, so 17 seconds is not nearly enough to cover him, to cover Norris off. Norris is going to be a lot quicker on these tyres as well. Norris crucially is ahead of that traffic as well. Yeah, and Piastri is committing to the pit lane. In he comes. I did wonder if maybe Piastri might try to be a bit cheeky and just not pit after all, but no, he's playing the team game. Two-second stop as well, so much quicker than Norris, but doesn't mean shit because Norris had him covered quite easily. So Piastri is going to absolutely have to put the hammer down if he's going to win this race. He's got 16 laps, 3.5 seconds. It's not impossible, but we're really going to have to see what oh, very, very awkward there for Oscar Piastri. Caught right up. He's going to get squeezed off the track. Colapinto has squeezed Oscar Piastri right off the track. I think inadvertently. I don't think Colapinto was even looking in his mirrors. Now, that is lap traffic as well, so Oscar Piastri absolutely ate a lot of shit there. It's not even so much that he came out but in traffic. I mean, that's not great, but coming out when the traffic is doing that is just horrendous for him. So 4.5 seconds now. So here's a replay. So Colapinto's going for it. Cooks that. Tsunoda's come across him. And now I think Colapinto's trying to keep in the draft, like keeping the slipstream of Yuki Tsunoda because he's got the DRS. And Piastri's just been forced off. I get the feeling Colapinto might eat a penalty for that. Yeah, forcing another driver off the track, noted. And I don't even think it was intentional by Colapinto. I think he was so focused on trying to make the pass repass sort of thing stick on Yuki Tsunoda that he didn't even look at the McLaren. It's a shame. And Colapinto gets by Yuki Tsunoda, so yeah, 15th for Tsunoda. That is just not sure. I'm not sure what's going to help Yuki at this point. It didn't look that bad to start with as well. At Suzuka, I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but it didn't look that bad. But it's just not fucking happening, is it? Anyway, 15 laps to go, including the end of this one. So this is just a replay. This is after the whole mess. So Colapinto does the switchback, ends up getting by Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, Yuki is just living in punishment land. It's not even like he's shit. You know what I mean? It's not like he's a bad driver. He was doing great. I mean, look at Liam Lawson in 6th. And Russell has actually gotten by them both while I was distracted with other things. So Lawson versus Alonso, this is going to be the fight to watch. Bortoleto v Hadjar further back down the road as well. That'll be fun. So Hadjar now down to 10th. So Bortoleto up to 9th. Now we'll see if Bortoleto can catch 10 seconds to Alonso in 13 laps. I mean, it could happen, but I wonder. Someone's getting comfortable. So Lawson v Alonso, that's really... I think the McLaren battle is done. 3.4 seconds now, it doesn't even matter. I get the feeling, even if Piastri was to catch right up to Norris, all Norris has to do is one, maybe iffy sort of block move, and McLaren will shit themselves and say, guys, just don't do it, cut it out. So that's totally done. Time penalty for Colapinto, yeah, pretty much what I'd expect. Clumsy out of Colapinto there more than anything. Just not really aware of what was around him when he went for that move. I don't think he was expecting a McLaren to suddenly be there because Oscar had only just come out the pits, but you know, maybe he could have been a little bit more aware of it. If he's got his eyes looking at Yuki in his mirrors going into turn 3, maybe he would have seen the McLaren too. Maybe he didn't, who knows. Maybe it's up to the team to tell him that Oscar was right behind. Anyway, Norris Piastri I think is done. Leclerc done. Hamilton in 4th, done. Russell way back in 5th, nearly a full pit stop. Hamilton has between himself and Russell, so that's done. Lawson, Alonso, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Hadjar. So 6th through 10th, I think, is probably going to get shaken up a little bit for the rest of the race. That's Hulkenberg getting by Hadjar. Sauber double points then. Yeah, it's a far cry from what Audi wants to achieve in Formula One, but it's definitely a start. It's definitely a step in the right direction. That team is making something of a comeback, making more of an account of themselves than Alpine certainly have. Oh, side by side, that's Hadjar and Ocon. And Ocon is through. Hadjar out of the points, but Hadjar is on old, worn, dirty piece of shit Pirellis, so it's not really a mystery why he's falling through the pack here now. 7.3 seconds to Behrman in 12th. It's very doable for Ollie if he wants it. Gasly, Colapinto, 13th and 14th. That's brutal. That really is. Stroll's absolutely struggling as well, so I wonder if his wrist is even okay, or if he's even just, not feeling it today. Like a true artiste. Only turns up when he wants to. Piastri, 2.7 seconds, so this is what I was saying. Oscar can, I think, turn on the jets here and see what happens. Maybe McLaren let it go. I get the feeling they might shit the bed here. They've got a great chance. They've got a 1-2. They've got a great chance to dump a whole lot of points on Red Bull and a whole lot of points on Ferrari as well, and Mercedes. I think they will want to keep it as it is. I get the feeling they might tell Piastri, just not today. Not today. You had your chance. That was into turn 4. You didn't make it work. So try again next week. All the action's going on in the cat box. I'd tell you, it's a bad day for Williams as well if Sauber and Aston and RB and Haas. I mean, Haas is only scoring 1 point, but Sauber's going to get a little decent chunk of points. Aston Martin's going to get a little decent chunk of points. Racing Bulls as well. So it's bad news for Williams. And this is what I was saying earlier in the season. They run the risk of... they had a decent start. They didn't capitalise on everything, but they had a decent enough start. But they really run the risk of just getting swallowed up now because they ain't aiding. They're not putting shit on that car anymore for the rest of the season. And this is where Williams might end up getting caught. Now, Alpine, I think, are going to get handily beaten by Williams in the Constructors' Championship this year. I'm not sure what Alpine has even left to put on this car. I get the feeling everybody in Viry has already resigned. How much are you really going to push that engine? The whole thing's getting shut down at the end of the year, so... Oh, here we go. I need some pace, please help, Lando Norris says. They're saying high speed, hopefully linked to traffic. So again, they're saying Norris might be getting held up by traffic, which makes kind of sense because Norris is the first one through, so... The guy in second generally gets treated better by traffic. Notwithstanding that shit that Piastri had just before, but... when a lap car knows that cars are coming up to lap them, they're more aware. The leader has to rely solely on the blue flags, but for example, who's he coming up on here? Ocon. I think once Ocon knows that Norris is right behind him, okay, now he's aware of it. Now he'll pull over and let Piastri by as well. 1.7 seconds. Ooh, I wonder if is Oscar going to give us an interesting end to this race? See, I wonder if McLaren are going to be that keen, especially after last time out in Canada. I wonder if they're going to be that keen to let these boys really race right at the end. Especially when they got like a 1-2 right in the palm of their hands. You remember Mercedes had a 1-2 right on the go in 2016 and a late race collision. I think it was the final lap, wasn't it, or the second last lap between Rosberg and Hamilton. Destroyed that one too. Not the first time they did that season either. I gotta say, it is refreshing as well to see McLaren 1-2 again. Not I mean this season, I mean in the context of watching them fall massively from grace from when they used to win races and championships every year, every other year, that sort of stuff. When they had like Hakkinen and Raikkonen, Hamilton, Alonso and all that in the cars, and Button. To then just go so badly through the wilderness and to end up coming back and having such a dominant car here and winning again, likely again this year is heartening to see. It's good to see this team back properly fighting for a world championship and fighting for wins again, because I gotta tell you, 2019, 2020, I thought this team was fucking cooked. I really did. At least in terms of fighting for genuine wins and championships again. I didn't think that they had it in them. Not without manufacturer support like they used to get from Mercedes or anything like that. I really didn't. I didn't think that it was going to happen again. I really didn't think so. And here we are. I mean, they really went through like a full decade of just absolute horseshit, that team. And I remember back to 2015, 2016, the Honda days, just how bloody bad it really got for them. I mean, podiums were, even points were like fantasy for them back then. Bit of damage on the front wing, which is making the balance change a bit. Nothing we can do, just for your awareness. That is radio message to Norris. That said, now 2.028 seconds between Norris and Piastri. So 2.2 seconds, and now Oscar has a little bit of traffic, so 5 laps to go. Is it going to be too late? I can't see it. I really can't see it. I want to see it because it would be entertaining as fuck, but I cannot see McLaren letting these guys race wheel to wheel with 1 or 2 laps to go when they have a 1-2 already in the hand. I get the feeling they'll make the radio call and say, Lando, you will be safe, just don't worry about it. Especially if all Lando has to do is just get on the radio and be like, guys, I'm panicking. I'm having a panic attack, woo. And then they'll say, don't worry, Lando, we got you, buddy. So 5 laps to go. As of right now, 5 laps to go. Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton. 8.5 seconds behind. So, yeah, not, again, pretty soundly beat. I mean, he's not getting destroyed like Yuki Tsunoda in the second seat, but he's just not really bringing it to Leclerc. Russell in no man's land, which is kind of where we thought Mercedes would be today, because it's just too hot for that car to work right. Lawson 6 would be amazing if he can keep it, and it looks like he's keeping it right now. We'll see if Alonso's got anything left in the tank for him, but I don't think they're going to get caught by the McLarens either before the end of the race. I think they're too far ahead, so it is just a straight fight between Lawson and Alonso here. It's just a replay of Norris going a little bit deep over the curb. That looks like turn 3. Yeah, Piastri a lot smoother. Now Alonso has lost the DRS, so I'd say that's it. Lawson's going to get 6, which is incredible for his season. That he's achieving that in the RB, but was dead last in the Red Bull, I think. I mean, it kind of says it all. That car just does not work. It just doesn't fucking work. You need corner discipline. Turns 1 and turn 3. Pace and high speed is good. You lack discipline, Norris. So 15 points. If it stays like this, and I am assuming that it will. Oh, and now we've got Bortoletto right behind Fernando Alonso. So forget Alonso taking Lawson. He's got his hands full with Bortoletto right behind him now. Oh, 3 laps to go. This is apprentice versus master here. I mean, Bortoletto is Alonso's kind of his protege. He's definitely his client. Alonso manages the guy as part of the A14 management system. Ooh. Oh, big snap. Big snap right in the middle of the corner for Bortoletto. So how much did that hurt him there? He's still quite close to Fernando ahead of him. So you see Alonso is struggling with his tyres. They've done almost twice the distance that Bortoletto's Pirellis have done, so kind of no surprise that he's got so much speed over him. Oh, very, very close. Very, very close. 0.2 seconds. Surely Bortoletto's going to get him here. That's what I was saying before. It's just constant pressure at this track. Constant pressure. It's a short lap and you are always under attack, it seems. And here's Bortoletto to the inside. Makes it work. Lovely stuff. No, Alonso's going to come back on him here. He's coming back on him. He's coming back on him. Into turn 4. Alonso, very wily with his car positioning right in the middle of the road. Nowhere to go on the inside, nowhere to go on the outside. Now Alonso's going to try to keep the inside line for this next corner. Forces Bortoletto to lift off. He's going to cut him off in the apex. This is good driving out of Fernando Alonso. Very, very clever stuff. Very clever stuff. Cuts him off in the apex. Is covering the entry and the exit of the corners. That is supreme racecraft right there. Very, very clever. Either way. And Bortoletto, just right on the edge. Right on the edge of DRS. And I tell you, here is Lando Norris about to catch Fernando Alonso. So he didn't catch Liam Lawson in the end, though he wasn't that far off it. But he did end up catching Alonso and Bortoletto. Piastri is pushing. Ooh, that's very awkward between Alonso and Norris just there. Very, very awkward between Norris and Alonso. Now, Alonso did not re-overtake himself, re-pass Norris there, so I don't think he's doing anything blue flag violation worthy. Either way, Lando Norris comes around the final corner and he wins. That's it. Lando Norris wins. First win since Monaco. 3rd win of the season. First win on a traditional racing track this season. Norris, I think, title charge back on. Here we go. Charles Leclerc across the line in 3rd. Comprehensively behind the McLarens at the end. Hamilton comprehensively behind Charles Leclerc in 4th. 9.2 seconds in the end. George Russell way out in no man's land. 1 minute behind Lando Norris in the end. The McLarens lapped everybody up to 7th place, Fernando Alonso, so that really is crushing pace out of the McLaren. That really, really is a beating that they've just given the whole field. And that's with a bit of traffic to boot as well. That, I tell you, half a second was the gap in qualifying, and it really, really looks like that. So here we go. That's it. Lap 70. That was fun enough. Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell. Lawson, amazing. Best result of the year for him. Alonso in 7th. Fantastic result for Fernando, for Aston Martin. Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, 8th and 9th is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant for Sauber. Sorely needed those points, so well done, lads. Well done. The Hinwil Renaissance is back, which is great news for Sauber, and it's great news for Audi because it looks like that project might have legs for 2026 after all. 10th, Esteban Ocon, getting the final point, so well done, Esteban. 11th, Behrman. 12th, Isaac Hadjar, who had an okay race. I guess there's nothing really to write home about between Behrman and Hadjar. Unspectacular, but solid. What is this? Okay, radio to Piastri. He sounds about as stoked as he ever does. So the funny thing is, whether he gets beaten or whether he wins, he sounds exactly the same. He's a lot like Kimi Raikkonen. Gasly 13th in the end, so Alpine, just fuck. It's funny, you turn on the Alpine F1 car and it doesn't sound like the other cars with the turbo. It actually sounds like a toilet flushing. Fucking... I mean, if Flavio Briatore... If 2025 Flavio Briatore is who they think is going to turn that team around, then fuck me dead. So a lot of pain left to come at Enstone. Lance Stroll 14th, another largely anonymous day for Lance Stroll. Colapinto 15th, Yuki Tsunoda 16th. Both of them clumsy moves, clumsy penalties. Nothing else really to write home about. Albon, technical retirement near the start of the race. Verstappen, Antonelli out on lap 1 after the collision, and Carlos Sainz DNF blew up before the race even started. Now, one thing I would say about Verstappen going out on lap 1, I've got 2 things to say. One, it made the rest of the race less interesting because Max Verstappen is box office and he will always do something interesting. He's always fun to watch. That's Alonso and Bortoleto. Fernando congratulating Bortoleto, probably saying thanks for not passing me, mate. Cheers. Oh, bless. He's genuinely stoked for the lad. He should be as well. In fact, I think at this point, even Alonso has a better talent management system than a Red Bull. Yeah, one, Verstappen missing the race means that it was less interesting overall. Not that it was a bad race. I'd say this was just your bog standard. I don't know. Should we call it 3 out of 5? It's like an okay movie. It was nice, but you know, we're never going to rewatch this, are we? But one other thing about the Verstappen retiring on lap 1 is the whole point thing's done. That's it. He's over. He gets, I think, 2 more penalty points back onto his license, so he'll have 3 to play with, which isn't great. It isn't a whole lot, but it's enough. And then they will ideally start falling more and more his way through the rest of the season, and then he can get his elbows out properly again. So that was it. That was the race. I think Norris, fantastic to win this one. Absolutely back on form, so well done. I don't think it wasn't a crushing win for Lando Norris, which is weird to say considering he led basically the whole way. If you discount like pit stop shuffles and stuff, he basically led the whole way, but he didn't feel comfortable. And I think he did make a mistake on the start, moving over to cover Leclerc off when he probably should have kept Piastri behind, maybe tried to block him off instead, maybe even invite Lewis Hamilton into the fray, or George Russell into the fray, if you can be clever about it. But I mean, that's also putting a lot of faith in other people to do the right thing and to also get away with a lot too. So Lando, good for him, good for F1, good for the title fight. Oh, looks like I'm gonna have to break up a fight myself as well. So it's been good for, yeah. Nothing quite like breaking up a brawl right as I'm trying to break down the race. Anyway, where was I? Norris, Piastri. So great for Norris. Not that great for Piastri, but second place, it could be a lot worse. Could have been like Norris last week. Last time out rather in Canada. So a 1-2 for McLaren, great for them. Leclerc, Hamilton, 3rd and 4th. So Ferrari looks like they're back but they're kind of in no man's land. Just like Mercedes in 5th, they didn't really have any sort of an answer for McLaren today. It was very untroubled by the lot of them. So I get the feeling there's not going to be a whole lot of developments coming for the rest of the season. So I get the feeling this might be the running order for the rest of it. So I hope you're ready for a McLaren 1-2 almost every fucking race now. So we'll see what anybody else has in the pipeline for the rest of the season. Yeah, that was basically it. So a decent enough race. Let's say 3 out of 5. It was fun. Not great, but it was fun. Either way, I think that's about it. May as well wave the check-ins on this stream. Thank you everyone for watching along. Hope you had fun. Hope you had at least a bit more fun than Max Verstappen had today. I'll be back next week for Silverstone. Should be a fun race, and hopefully this title fight keeps going. If Norris can get ahead of Piastri, it'll be fun. Basically, all I want is we have the potential for a very fun title fight, and I would like to keep that going as long as we can. So let's see what Norris can do next time out at Silverstone. Let's see if he can get the home win he has so desperately wanted since he started his F1 career. Let's see if Piastri could spoil the party. Let's see what this lad, Charles Leclerc, can do. Let's see if Ferrari have anything else left up their sleeves, especially Lewis Hamilton. He'll be looking to bounce back big time next week as well. First race at Silverstone for Ferrari, that's a big deal for him, so we'll see how he goes. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks everybody for watching. I will be back next week, and hope you have fun. I will see you soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye-bye.